The misty mountains go. My voice is nearly not deep enough to sing that song and do that song justice. Oh, misty eye of the mountain below. That I can do, but I have to wait till the next film. So today's movie commentary is going to be on The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey, a film I really like, and I will explain my reasons throughout the commentary. But in this commentary, I just want to preface the fact that this is just going to be kind of casual, kind of fun, just me expressing why I love this film so much. Because look, I'm going to say this now, if you're looking for a video that goes in depth on the troubled production history of the Hobbit Trilogy, you're not going to find it here. This is just going to be fun, me talking about why I love it and stuff. If you're looking for that, other YouTube channels have done it better, and they probably would do it better than I would anyways. Lindsay Ellis's video is fantastic. Mr. Sunday Movies videos on the Hobbit Trilogy for their Caravan of Garbage segment also does that troubled production history stuff justice. This is just going to be me expressing why I like a lot of the things in the Hobbit Trilogy and why I dislike a lot of things, and why in many ways it kind of pales in comparison to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But also, I just want to preface, I love this film. I think The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey is fantastic, and I hold it in the same limelight as The Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. And unpopular opinion, this might get me killed or something, but I like this film more than The Two Towers. Sue me, shoot me, I don't care, I will die on this hill. I love this film. The thing is about the Hobbit trilogy is that it was almost perfect, purely for the fact that on paper, when Peter Jackson conceived this after taking over Guillermo del Toro, he went, okay, we're going to do the Hobbit in 2 films. And then for some weird reason, I'm assuming it's studio mandate because they wanted more money, they turned the Hobbit duology into a trilogy, and it just ruins the whole thing. The films get progressively worse, and as we go through the trilogy, I will point out the things that I really dislike. And in many ways, part of it is Peter Jackson's direction that is to blame, because Desolation of Smaug does not need to be nearly as long as it is. Same with Battle of the Five Armies. But again, when it comes to An Unexpected Journey, it's easily the strongest out of the trilogy, and I still think it is better than The Two Towers. Not saying that I don't love The Two Towers, but I mean, I just like this film more. Maybe it's because of the sensibilities and the fact that it covers the more, like, whimsy aspects of the books. I don't know. I just love this film more than Two Towers. Also, before we get into the commentary, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Also, follow me on Instagram. It's all down in the description. So, without further ado, let's get into The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey. The Hobbit theme! Oh, we're back! We're back, baby! Oh, man. Every time I hear it in An Unexpected Journey and Desolation of Smaug, I don't think it plays in Battle of the Five Armies. But when I hear this theme play, got a little bit of a teary-eyed situation going on, the nostalgia. It's wonderful. It's so comforting. It really is Peter Jackson and Howard Shore just going, we're back in Middle-earth, baby. Here we go.
My dear Frodo, you asked me once if I had told you everything there was to know about my adventures.
Bilbo! Look, Ian Holm does not look nearly the same as he does in Fellowship of the Ring. His wig especially is so off. But it's Bilbo! It's so good. Also, yes, let's point out the fact that the Hobbit trilogy was shot on digital. They shot it on the Red Dragon or something. They shot it on a really advanced new digital cinema camera, and you can kind of tell the color grading and the overall look of the Hobbit trilogy is not nearly as beautiful looking as Andrew Lesnie's work in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But when it comes to An Unexpected Journey, I think for the most part, it looks nice. There are some bits where the overcompensation for the blooming and the film halation and such, doing the digital emulation to make it look more like film, it goes a bit too far, and there's this weird kind of like gloss and sheen to the film. But when we get interiors of Bag End and such, it looks really nice. Also, a thing I can't comment on is the 48 frames per second. When these films released, they were apparently also simultaneously released in 24 frames per second and also 48 frames per second. I can't comment on that. I never watched the 48 frames per second version. I've seen the 48 frames per second trailer on YouTube, and it just looks weird, like everything's in like fast forward and stuff. It doesn't look good. I'm really glad this fad has kind of died out, because it doesn't work. It doesn't look good, and just, yeah, I'm kind of glad that I saw this film without that effect, because just, I feel like for the most part, the reason why these films also aren't as well renowned or beloved as the Lord of the Rings trilogy is because of that. It's the fact that it's shot digitally, it's shot in a format that it wasn't supposed to be in 48 frames per second, I don't know what Jackson was doing there. I think all the exposition regarding Smaug and Erebor and Dale and Smaug attacking Dale and taking over Erebor, I think it's all done really effectively and really nicely because, again, Bilbo is telling us the story. In many ways, it feels like Galadriel's introduction to Fellowship of the Ring with, like, a little bit less atmosphere because with Lord of the Rings, it's like, oh my god, world-ending stakes. But in The Hobbit, it's just, yeah, a dragon attacked a mountain and took over and basically destroyed, like, the overall culture of Erebor and Dale. But Ian Holm's narration really sells it. All the imagery on screen, like Thorin and the Arkenstone and Thranduil and the beef between Thorin and Thranduil and the origin of that, it works. I think it's done really effectively. Like, when people say exposition is bad in film, I think for the most part it can be when either the dialogue is very underwritten and very plain and very simple and direct. But I also do find that when you have a narrator with a really well-written script, like, for example, this film here with Ian Holm and the script done by Philippa Boyens, Fran Walsh, Peter Jackson and company, like, it fits. It feels right. The Hobbit is also a children's book, so it kind of makes sense that you would open off with a little bit of exposition.
Well, it began as you might expect. In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit.
Okay, first off, well, it's the opening line to the book, but also, it's just delivered so well done. The way Jackson and Howard Shore incorporate the Hobbit theme as Bilbo says it, it's just, it's wonderful. It's so good. It's so lovely. It really captures the tone of the more whimsical nature of the Hobbit book. Like, it just feels right. This is brilliant. Like, this is so good. Like, I'm telling you, if this was a duology and not a trilogy as originally planned, it would have been perfect.
I'm off. Off to where? East Farthing Woods. I'm going to surprise him.
Is the Elijah Wood Frodo cameo needed? No, but I welcome it because it's Frodo, it's Elijah Wood. Like, yes, there is a bit of nostalgia rose-tinted goggles looking at it, but I'll allow it. It works perfectly fine in the film. Though, a thing that does confuse me is that this technically doesn't line up with the extended edition unless Peter Jackson is playing it like Bilbo's got Alzheimer's or something. Because Frodo tells Bilbo, okay, I'm going to go surprise Gandalf in East Farthing Woods. But then when you watch the extended edition, Bilbo has no idea where Frodo is. So it's kind of like, did they mess up, or are they just trying to play the fact that Bilbo's old? I'm gonna say this now, Martin Freeman is pitch perfect casting for Bilbo Baggins, and he is phenomenal. He is the best part of this trilogy. He is so wonderful. He is just the best. And the thing is too, let's speak about Bilbo Baggins as a character. Bilbo Baggins is the Hobbit, okay? Samwise Gamgee is a legend and is technically the hero of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But when you think of the Hobbit, if someone asks the question of who is the best Hobbit, it's Bilbo Baggins. Bilbo Baggins is a legend. And if I say Bilbo Baggins is a legend, then a legend he is.
Good morning.
What do you mean? Do you mean to wish me a good morning, or do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Okay, when you look at this scene here, this is what I mean by how the blooming effect is too much. There's something about the digital blooming that feels off, and it's very apparent, and in many ways you just go, oh, this isn't filmic. What's going on here? What's with all the weird, like, aberration, and why is it so kind of, like, soft, but, like, not aesthetically soft? What's going on here?
Or perhaps you mean to say that you feel good on this particular morning. Or are you simply stating that this is a morning to be good on?
The good morning scene is lifted directly from the book, and it is pitch perfect. Perfectly performed, perfectly directed. It's great. I love this scene. This scene just proves that if Jackson just stuck to his duology and was not told to extend out the trilogy, and they just did the things from the book, then the Hobbit films would have been perfect, honestly. This would have just been one of the best book-to-film adaptations. It would have been in the same caliber as the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Granted, the subject matter is different, but still. You get what I'm trying to say, right? Like, these, as, like, actual films, would just be amazing.
But you know my name, although you don't remember I belong to it. I'm Gandalf.
Gandalf means me.
What? No, wait. We do not want any adventures here. Thank you. Not today.
God, Martin Freeman is just pitch perfect in this film. His comedic timing, his facial expressions, impeccable.
Dwalin, at your service.
Hey, Dwalin the goat. Him and Balin are just like my favorite dwarves. Him and Biffa, both, whichever one James Nesbitt plays. Those are the goats. He's also Dijkstra in Netflix's The Witcher and also Harold Hightower, Westerling. He's the Kingsguard guy in House of the Dragon.
Evening, brother.
Balin the goat.
Feely and Keely, at your service.
Did they prettyify Feely and Keely? Yeah, but I feel like you kind of have to. You can't just have like a cast of just like middle-aged men just like chilling. I don't know. I don't mind the change of making them young and sexy. My issue is just that when you get into Desolation of Smaug and Battle of the Five Armies, the Keely and Tauriel and Legolas love triangle is just... What were they thinking? But honestly, this sequence of all the dwarves arriving at Bag End is like not only capturing the spirit of the book perfectly, just the comedic timing, Jackson's direction of the whole thing, it's so good, it's so fun, it's so just... I love it.
Oh, no.
No, there's nobody home! Go away and bother somebody else!
Also, just look at the way the camera moves. This is done by a director. This film feels like a film. It may not have been shot on film, but it feels like cinema. Jackson's direction is just... It's still alive here. He's still putting in effort. He still has a vision for this story. It is genuinely a shame that he's kind of like retired from filmmaking, or at least directing, because the man had source. The man had vision. I honestly hate what this trilogy did to him.
Can you not do that? You'll blunt them!
Ooh, you're that lads. He says we'll blunt the knives, bend the forks, smash the bottles and burn the corks, chip the glasses and crack the plates. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. Leave the bones on the bench. I remember at the time when reviews for this film were coming out, they're all like, oh, there's too much singing and the dwarves are annoying, you can cut that out. No, what are you talking about? That's the book. That's the magic. That's the charm. Why would you cut this? This is so fun. I have no clue why people like get rid of these scenes. No, this is perfect. This is what you want from a Hobbit adaptation.
Gandalf.
Richard Armitage's Thorin Oakenshield is really cool. I do like that they kind of like Aragornified him, even though in the books he's like this kind of like old, kind of silly, bumbling dwarf, just like, I need to retake Erebor. I don't mind that they made him more Aragorn-like. I think it's perfectly fine and it fits within Jackson's vision. It's also kind of a shame too. I don't know what Richard Armitage is up to these days, because I think he's a fantastic actor. He's really good in these movies, and I know during the 2010s he had like a little bit of a career in Hollywood, but I don't know, he's kind of disappeared and I'd like to see him in more things.
Gandalf will have killed hundreds of dragons in his time.
Oh, well, no,
Well, how many dragons have you killed?
Go on, give us a number.
Do you know what? People harp on about the dwarves and how they don't have a lot to do in the films. I still say that the dwarves' like chemistry and banter is really well done, even though they don't get much screen time. I enjoy it whenever they bicker amongst themselves, or like they work together, or they do some stuff within the blocking where they're helping out one another. It's really good.
Enough if I say Bilbo Baggins is a burglar and a burglar he is.
Enough if I say Bilbo Baggins is a burglar and a burglar he is. God bless you, Ian McKellen. Sir Ian McKellen. Impeccable performance as Gandalf, as usual. It does also kind of break my heart that when you watch the behind the scenes, Ian McKellen isn't even in the same room as these guys. Like, what happened to filmmaking, man? What happened to all the forced perspective stuff they did in Fellowship? Like, why is it not utilized here? And I get why he was depressed when he filmed this scene, why he was so sad and kind of like cried and had like a little bit of a mini breakdown. I get it.
The world is not in your books and maps. It's out there.
I can't just go running off into the blue. I am a Baggins of Bag End.
I love this conversation between Gandalf and Bilbo, all about how Bilbo's ancestors were adventurers and how as a kid he was very adventurous, but now as like a middle-aged man he's all kind of like grumpy and he's a closeted man. He always like shelters himself at home and stuff, and he's not wide-eyed anymore. I just love what Tolkien was trying to say with The Hobbit. It's the idea of go experience life, go on adventures, keep going. No matter how old you get, stay wide-eyed, because otherwise then you just become grumpy and miserable. Also, the story about the origin of golf being a goblin head falling into a rabbit hole and such, that's all from the book, though in the book Tolkien plays it straight and goes, yeah, that is how golf was invented in Middle-earth. But here, they make it a joke, I think.
Can you promise that I will come back?
No. And if you do, you will not be the same.
I love it. I love Jackson's like seriousness. Like he treats the material with reverence, but there's also that comedic spin. Like it's still for kids.
Far over the misty mountains cold and caverns old.
I cannot sing this song. My voice is not like.
We must away forgotten
Gold. it and my voice is saying, no, I cannot sing this song. Far over the misty mountains cold.
Hello?
Again, Martin Freeman's physical acting, his comedic timing is brilliant. He's so good. Like, when I say pitch perfect casting for Bilbo Baggins, I mean it.
I'm going on an adventure!
Wonderful. It is genuinely wonderful. Jackson and company really captured the spirit of the book in this film.
What on earth is the matter?
I've forgotten my handkerchief. Use this.
All the banter with Bilbo and the Dwarves is fantastic. Stop, I forgot my handkerchief, and they give him this, like, dirty old rag. I love it. It's great. That is what I think is the real magic of the Hobbit trilogy. Like, you don't get it throughout all the films. Like, in Battle of the Five Armies, you kind of, like, lose it a bit. But the chemistry between Bilbo and the Dwarves is there, at least in the first two films.
I have to manage without pocket handkerchiefs.
Okay, do you know what's the biggest crime of the Hobbit trilogy? The fact that after an unexpected journey, they got rid of the Misty Mountains theme as the main theme for, you know, the Dwarves and Bilbo and, like, their epic adventure quest. Why did they do that? I have no clue why. This was akin to their Fellowship of the Ring theme. I don't know why they got rid of it. It is ridiculous. Like, not only is the melody, like, beautiful, but also that's the theme. That's the theme for the trilogy. And they got rid of it. What? Bum, 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 bum. Why did they get rid of it? I have no clue. I don't know whose idea this was, but it was stupid.
Led by the most vile of all their race, Azog, the Defiler.
Okay, so Azog the Defiler, CGI, not great. Design-wise, he's alright, though he looks like a farmer from Skyrim. He looks more like a goblin than, say, an orc, but also, what is the point of Azog in this film? Why is it Azog? Why is Azog in this trilogy? Azog, the character, should be Bolg. Bolg is Azog's son trying to avenge Azog from Thorin, so why is Azog, the character, still alive? And why is he, like, the main antagonist of the trilogy? It should just be Bolg. Not to mention the fact that Azog and Bolg look nothing alike, and it's like, what's going on here? Like, you can easily streamline this by just having Azog die in the flashback, and then Bolg is Azog in this film. I don't get it. What is the point? Why is he in Desolation of Smaug? Like, Azog isn't even in the books. He's mentioned in, like, one line. Why not just make Azog Bolg? What were you doing here, Jackson? I don't get it.
His armor rent, wielding nothing but an open branch as a shield.
Okay, so the thing I have with the CGI in the Moria fight is that the CGI isn't great, but the actual photography and composition of the imagery is really good. Like, there's just something about Azog that looks really clean, and then you cut to the shots of Thorin, and he looks real, he looks tangible. The CGI background isn't helping either. It's kind of a contradiction. Like, the scene looks good, but it's got too much CGI all over it. Like, all the live action stuff looks great. It's just the CGI that is holding the scene back. There's something about the way the CGI has been composited into the imagery. It doesn't work. Like, you look at the Lord of the Rings trilogy, there is some dodgy compositing effects. But again, time has passed on and such. But then, there's something about it that fits, and I don't know if that missing link is the fact that the Lord of the Rings was shot on film compared to the Hobbit trilogy. It might just be the digital cleanliness. I don't know. But the whole Azog Thorin backstory is awesome. Like, Thorin's final standing as Azog is really cool. Just, why is Azog alive? Just have Bolg be in the battle and be like, I'll get revenge on you, Thorin, or whatever the hell. And then, like, you know, Bolg is now the antagonist for the trilogy. Why is it Azog? It doesn't make any sense.
There is one I could call king.
Balin, I could call Thorin Oakenshield my king. I think that's something I do really like about the trilogy, is how they do emphasize Thorin's kingliness, his royalty. You do feel the majesty of Thorin Oakenshield. Compared to in the books, where it's kind of like, yeah, he's like the main leader of the group, but like, he's also kind of like an old man, he's kind of like silly and bumbling about. I do like how they ground Thorin a bit, and they make him more regal and more majestic. Sebastian. Okay, so the stuff with Radagast, I don't hate it, but I do feel like it does drag out the film for a bit too long, and it's like, we don't need all of this. Like, we kind of get Radagast's whole shtick. Like, you don't have to go, like, into a full-on backstory with him and his, you know, hedgehog. What's his name again? Like, Sebastian or something.
Mutton yesterday. Mutton today.
Mutton yesterday. Mutton today. The trolls, this whole sequence is perfect. It's fantastic. The comedy, the action. Granted, the CGI is not, like, incredible on the trolls, but I love it. It's great. It just has the feel of the book. This is what you want from a Hobbit adaptation. Not only does this play for kids, but it also appeals to adults that love the Lord of the Rings film trilogy. Like, Jackson was the right guy to adapt The Hobbit. The problem is that they split the duology into a 3-film saga, and it doesn't make any sense.
Drop him!
You what?
I said, drop him.
Again, the Misty Mountains theme as the dwarves call to action, their little action battle theme, it's incredible. It's awesome. Whose idea was it to get rid of it throughout the rest of the trilogy? What an idiot. I'm joking when I say that because it probably was Peter Jackson's decision, but like, come on. It's so good. Why would you get rid of it?
Lay down your arms, or we'll whip his off.
They're infected. They have parasites. They've got worms in their tubes.
I've got parasites as big as my arm.
One of the biggest parasites. I've got huge parasites.
Honestly, the comedy of this film is so good. Jackson was the right guy to adapt it. His sensibilities, it just works.
The dawn will take you all.
The dawn will take you all! I love the continuity of Fellowship of the Ring, like the dwarves end up in their exact same positions as in Fellowship. I think that's really neat.
These are forged in Gondolin.
Hey, it's Glamdring and Orcrist. Glamdring is a beautiful sword, I've always loved it, but Orcrist is a phenomenally designed sword. I love the single edge to it. It's so nice. These swords are just mwah! This is Sting. You've seen it before, haven't you? Gollum. I don't know why, this shot of Bilbo pulling out Sting is also just really iconic to me. So, the Dol Guldur stuff I think is a perfectly fine subplot to set up. I don't mind it in this film either. And it works perfectly fine in Desolation and Smaug. I just think the way it culminates in the Battle of Five Armies isn't very satisfying. Oh goodness gracious, now I want some old Toby. Okay, so during this orc attack, the orcs are surrounding the dwarves and such. They're chasing after them on wargs, but why is Bilbo's sword, why is Sting not blue? Visual effects error. Bad visual effects and continuity error. Bad! Ow, I just hurt my... Ow, my ring just hit my knuckle. So the thing I like about Rivendell in this film is that it doesn't come off as like a key jangling, hey, do you remember Rivendell thing? Because that's what happens in the book. They go to Rivendell in the book, so it doesn't feel like, hey, do you remember Fellowship of the Ring? No, that's just like how it happens. For me, it works. Like, there's a nice comforting feeling when you see Rivendell and you're like, hey, it's Rivendell. They're just chilling with Elrond and stuff like they do in the book. It's great. Okay, a key jangling moment though is Azog and Weathertop. Like, why is he there? What is the point? Okay, is it me or is Cate Blanchett even more beautiful in the Hobbit films than she was in the Lord of the Rings trilogy? Like, she's beautiful in both, but there's something about her in the Hobbit trilogy that's just... it's making me move. I don't know.
You've been busy of late, my friend.
Also, Saruman's inclusion in the White Council, it works perfectly fine. I mean, not only is it them setting up his dark turn in The Lord of the Rings, but it is also nice seeing Christopher Lee work with Peter Jackson again after the controversy of him cutting out Saruman's death in the theatrical cut of the films. Like, I don't get why they cut out the theatrical cut of the films, but even still, it's nice to see that they were back on, like, working terms, and it's great to see Saruman in the trilogy.
Why, Bilbo Baggins? Perhaps it is because I'm afraid. It gives me courage.
It's just... I love that. I love this exchange. Although, granted, yeah, the Galadriel-Gandalf romance is weird, but just that speech, that little response from Gandalf, It's so beautiful, it's so wholesome, it's very Tolkienian. I love it.
Do not be afraid, Mithrandir.
Okay, so why do Gandalf and Galadriel have this weird kind of like romance thing? Where's that coming from? Galadriel, you're married. What are you doing? And Gandalf? Huh? Again, which idiot decided to get rid of this as the main theme of the trilogy? Like, what are you doing? This is the Hobbit theme. Not concerning hobbits, you know what I mean? Like, this is the Hobbit Trilogy theme. Why did you get rid of it? Right, the one scene that I would cut out from this is the big stone giant action sequence because it kind of is pointless. What is the point of this? Like, I get it, Thorin needs to save Bilbo, but we've seen him do that prior. Like, we don't need it in this part of the film. Like, we get it. Not to mention, it's just too big and too bombastic of an action sequence. Like, it's really hyper-realistic. The suspension of disbelief is just a bit too much in this scene. I mean, to be fair, that's with a lot of the action in the Hobbit trilogy. But also, in the books, there is no big stone giant set piece. It's like, oh, guys, let's just go take refuge because the stone giants are fighting. Like, you could cut this scene before the giants start fighting. Like, just them going, oh my god, what's going on here? Let's just take shelter. Because bear in mind, this film's like 2 hours and 50 minutes long. Like, yeah, you can trim it. Okay, how did Bilbo survive that fall? What's going on here, Jackson? That's just... What? Like, Aragorn's fallen 2 towers, I can suspend my disbelief a bit. But that? He literally, like, grabbed off the rope and then swung and then hit a bunch of rocks on the way down. What?
We found him on the front porch.
Well, don't just stand there. Search them.
Found him on the front porch. To be fair, that is like a quirk of fantasy that I love. Like, you see it in Witcher 3, you see it in Peter Jackson's Middle-earth films. Like, the kind of, like, sniveling little, oi, what you doing? I love that. I love that as a trope of fantasy. That like, kind of grubby, grungy little, like... kind of like a side character, like, oh, what you doing? It has to be in like the top 10 best fantasy quirks or tropes. Like, it's so good.
Azog the Defiler was destroyed. He was slain in battle long ago.
So you think his defiling days are done, do you?
Yes, they should be. Why is Azog in this trilogy? Stop. Smaug girl. Smaug girl. Yeah. For all of you that don't know, I love Gollum. I think Gollum is the best character in the Tolkien mythology. I love him so much. I love Andy Serkis' portrayal of Gollum. Every time Gollum appears on screen, yes. Yeah. Do you know what's my biggest nitpick of this entire film? It's the fact that Bilbo is not wearing the same thing he was wearing in the prologue to Fellowship of the Ring, and it really bugs me because it's like, Jackson, you directed the same films. Like, how did you mess that up continuity-wise? But then also, I love Bilbo's outfit in this film, so I wouldn't, like, have him change it, but just... He's supposed to be wearing blue, not, you know, maroon. Too many bones is precious.
Blesses and splashes, precious. That's a meaty mouthful. Blesses and splashes, precious. That's a meaty mouthful.
Look, as much as I've dissed on the orc CGI in this film, Gollum is spectacular. Phenomenal. He is so photoreal. You can't convince me that Gollum is not real in this film. That's a real Gollum creature they found. That is not CGI. It looks incredible. Andy Serkis' performance is so real. Just, Gollum is real. I don't care what you say.
Gollum.
Riddles in the Dark is easily the best sequence of this entire film. You know what? The entire trilogy. It is phenomenal. It is perfectly well done. It is the book brought to screen, even more so than the good morning scene between Bilbo and Gandalf. This scene is perfect. No notes, it's phenomenal.
Teeth. Teeth. us a chance, precious. Give us a chance.
Do I need to make a constipation joke? Nah, the internet's already done it for me. I don't have to do that.
Is it tasty? Is it scrumptious? Is it crunchy? Is it tasty? Is it scrumptious? Is it crunchy?
My friend Darren does the Gollum facial expressions better than I do. I do the voice better, but he does the mannerisms better than I can. I think that's also why I love Gollum too. Me and my best friend Darren, we have such a special connection with Gollum. Like, it's like one of the things that like bonds us together. Love Gollum. Thank you, Gollum. Mwah. Love you too, Darren. Mwah.
Ask us. Ask us. What's it got in its nasty little pocket, sis? You die.
I do like they at least like acknowledge the Goblin Town song. I think in the extended edition, which I have not seen, I haven't seen any of the extended editions for the Hobbit trilogy, but I do know that they sing a version of Goblin Town, but it's not the same lyrics from the book.
Take up arms. Fight!
It's so good when Gandalf just shouts, "Take up arms, fight, fight!" Dun, 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 dun. Mwah, mwah. Fantastic. This movie is great. Pity. It was pity that stayed Bilbo's hand. I think Jackson realized this scene perfectly. Also, why does Gollum look kind of cute here? Like,
precious? Ah!
I know you doubt me. I know you always have. And you're right, I often think of Bag End. And that's why I came back, because you don't have one. A home. It was taken from you, but I will help you take it back if I can.
that's why Bilbo Baggins is a fucking legend. Again, that's why Bilbo Baggins is the best Hobbit. He's awesome. He's a legend. Yes!
Out of the frying pan.
And into the fire.
Oh, that's the name of the chapter from the book. I like it when Jackson's writing team do that. They do that like all the time in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so it's nice to see it here in the Hobbit trilogy as well. But again, why is Azog here? What is the point? He's not supposed to be here. Just make Azog Bolg. And this is no slight on Manu Bennett's performance. Just have Manu Bennett play Bolg. Why is the character Azog? Okay, look. This is where the film falls into the key jangling member berries nostalgia bait, because why is Thorin facing off against Azog and the Nazgul theme is playing? What? The Nazgul aren't even in this film. The Nazgul aren't even in this scene. What are we doing here, Jackson? Howard Shaw, what are we doing? Huh? This is why Bilbo Baggins is a fucking legend. I also think the film does a really wonderful job of not only showing Bilbo's progression as a character, but also Bilbo Baggins' heroism. I think it's a really nice arc that we see throughout the film of Bilbo being the kind of like tedious, I don't want to do this, and then we see him grow and he's accepted the adventure and he's like willing to help the dwarves take back Erebor, but also he is brave. He is there. He's found his courage. He's going to defend Thorin. He's going to defend his company. He loves them. It's such a good character arc. It's great. The eagles are coming! But, why didn't the eagles just fly them all the way to Erebor? I'm joking. I know the reason why they don't fly them all the way to Erebor is because of Smaug, but also I'm just making a joke because of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Everyone's like, why don't the eagles fly the rings and water? I'm joking.
Did I not say that you would be a burden? That you would not survive in the wild, and you had no place amongst us. I have never been so wrong in all my life.
Yeah, so good. I love it. I love Thorin and Bilbo's friendship and their connection and how they finally come together at the end of this film. It's really well earned. It's really well deserved. It's really well directed. They build it up really well. The only thing is that I don't think you need Thorin saving Bilbo during the Stone Giant scene, because you don't need that to be an action set piece. He's saved and defended Bilbo countless times throughout the film. Like, we don't need it. We don't need the Stone Giant thing, but even still, this is a fantastic payoff. I think the Smaug teaser to end the film is really good. It's really cool. Then the thing is that I swear in the book, Smaug has like been fast asleep for ages, so What's he doing here? He's just woken up, but no one was there. Huh? But then again, doesn't, like, Smaug go out to hunt, like, nightly or something, so, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Also, this version of Misty Mountains Call that plays during the credits slaps. It's so good. We lay under the misty mountains cold till we get a long forgotten goal. Far away from misty mountains cold. So that was The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, and I love this film. I think it's so good. I think it's such a good representation of the Hobbit book. Yes, there's some silly things in it here and there, and overall The Hobbit should not be a trilogy, it should be the planned duology that Jackson wanted to do. This is easily the strongest Hobbit film. It's just so wonderful and just so... I love it. Like, yes, I will complain about the CGI or the digital look and stuff, but at the end of the day, as a film, it's fantastic. I think it's brilliantly well directed. I love the cast. Martin Freeman is an absolute legend as Bilbo Baggins. Sir Ian McKellen as Gandalf the Grey. Mwah. The dwarf cast. Mwah. Everyone is great. Andy Serkis, mwah, who also was the second unit director. Fantastic. I love this movie. Oh, misty eye of the mountain below, keep careful watch of my brother's souls, and should the sky, and should the sky be filled with fire and smoke, keep watching over during suns. There's a lot of good things in this film, but there's also a lot of things in this film where I'm like, why are we doing this? This is such a waste of time. What is the point of this? Like Jackson, you don't have to make a 2.5 hour movie every time. You can just make it, 2 hours, less than 2 hours. It also doesn't help that a bunch of this film too is let down by the Battle of the Five Armies, but even still, there are things in here where I'm like, this isn't great. But then also, there are so many scenes in this where it's just like, oh my god, this is incredible. I mean, it's Smaug. I'm talking about Smaug. Everything to do with Bilbo and Smaug. That's the thing with this trilogy, is that when they actually adapt the book, they do it wonderfully. But anyways, I'll save the rant for the rest of the commentary. But before we get into the commentary, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on social media, all the good stuff. It's all down in the description. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It's also down in the description. So without further ado, let's get into The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Yeah, every time they play the Hobbit theme, I love it. I still get sucked in straight into the Middle-earth world. It's fantastic. It's like how when you watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy and they do the Lord of the Rings thing and the music plays the na, 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 na. It's amazing. And I love that this trilogy has a similar sort of thing, but with the Hobbit theme, the concerning Hobbit theme. It's fantastic. I love it.
I should introduce myself. My name is Gandalf. Gandalf the Grey. I know who you are.
Okay, so this prologue with Thorin and Gandalf, it's not in the book, but it's also a big red flag in terms of this being the end of the trilogy, properly adapting the book, and instead it's going all like key jangling, hey, do you remember Lord of the Rings? Look at this nostalgia pic, there's Peter Jackson eating the carrot. Thorin and Gandalf are in Bree and they're in the Prancing Pony, you remember that? You remember Fellowship of the Ring? Like, this is the least offensive example, but even still, it is kind of just like, yeah, I remember Lord of the Rings, you don't have to remind me.
What brings Thorin Oakenshield to Bree?
Now, do you remember in my commentary for An Unexpected Journey, I said that the digital film look of the Hobbit trilogy looks pretty decent when they're in interiors. And I do think so. I look at the scene in Bree with Thorin in the Prancing Pony. It looks nice, but there is something about it when you compare it to, say, Fellowship of the Ring, which was shot on film. It lacks the grit. It lacks the tangibility. I'm looking at this place and I'm like, there's something off about it. Like, lighting-wise, it looks nice. And also, I can't complain about shooting on digital because I'm shooting this on a mirrorless camera. But even still, I don't have Hollywood money. If I did, I'd shoot all my films on 35. But I still do my best in post-production to make my videos look like they're on film. I try to do as much film emulation as I possibly can, even adding grain. And I'm looking at the Hobbit films and it's like, the interiors are nice, but there's something here that just feels off.
Which is why we're going to need a burglar.
Way, Bilbo Baggins, Martin Freeman, the MVP of this trilogy. He is so good as Bilbo Baggins, and again, this is the beginning of the end of this trilogy, focusing on Bilbo Baggins, and it sucks because he's so brilliant, and when he does his thing in this film, he's fantastic. But it's like, Battle of the Five Armies is the worst offender, but this is Bilbo sort of like going into the shadows of this trilogy. He's no longer the focus or the forefront, and it's like, what? Why? It's called The Hobbit. This is his story. It's not Martin Freeman's fault, it's the scripts. The script's just like, yeah, Bilbo's taking a backseat because now we have to do some Lord of the Rings prequel setup stuff, and it's like, but why? You don't have to. I don't know why. Azog just annoys me. I don't know what it is. The thing is too, I think it's just the fact that he is Azog the Defiler. It's like, if you made Azog Bolg, you fixed like half of my issues with Azog. I mean, obviously the biggest offender of Azog is the CGI, but it's the fact that also, as a character, why is he here? Just make Azog Bolg and you immediately add stakes to the story, because that's what's supposed to happen in the books. Bolg is like, oh, I'm out for revenge after Thorin Oakenshield. Just have Azog be Bolg, like... What are you doing, Jackson? Although I do think it is absolutely and just incredibly stupid that Jackson and Howard Shore decided to get rid of the Misty Mountains theme as like the main themes for, you know, the quest for the dwarves. I do love the Smaug theme. The score for this film is still pretty good. It lacks the epic moments of Unexpected Journey because they took away the Misty Mountains theme, but there are a lot of additional leitmotifs and themes that Howard Shore incorporates into this film, and it's pretty great. We'll get to them when we get to them. But one of them being the Smaug theme. It's great. I love Smaug's theme. It's awesome.
His name is Beorn.
Okay, so the Beorn stuff in this film is fine. My only issue with it is our introduction to the dwarves to Beorn. In the book, it's this whole quirky, cheeky thing where Gandalf's just like, okay, Beorn doesn't like dwarves, so guys, come in like 2 at a time and slowly introduce yourselves, and eventually we'll all be inside the house and he'll welcome us in. That was such a wonderful and fun little quirky moment in the book, and it's a shame that it's not in the film because it's so like, I don't know, it just adds to the whimsy tone of The Hobbit. I think that's the thing. Whilst I do like a lot of the changes Jackson makes to The Hobbit to make it fit into his vision for Middle-earth, there are also some moments where he gets rid of the whimsiness of the Hobbit book, and it's mainly in this and Battle of the Five Armies where he gets rid of it, and he instead supplements it to be a bit more serious and a bit more grounded. But in doing so, it takes away from the fun and the whimsiness of the Hobbit book. Bolg. What do they do to Bolg? In the sense of design-wise, he looks nothing like Azog. How is this Azog's son? Like, they're not even related. Like, yeah, sure, Bolg is pale, but like, facially, the ears and stuff. No. What? Why is Bolg in this film? Or it should be the other way around. Why is Azog in this film? What were you thinking, Jackson? I don't know what you were thinking here. Okay, so some of the things I do like in terms of The Hobbit setting up the Lord of the Rings trilogy is some of the moments where, you know, Bilbo is looking at the ring, we get the ring theme, and like the scenes kind of like weave together where like this scene will transition into a scene in Dol Guldur. It's cool, it's nice, it's stylish, and it's not super like, hey, remember Lord of the Rings? Like, it is, but it's not like so over the top where you're just like, okay, I know you directed Lord of the Rings, I know this is the Lord of the Rings prequel. Like Bilbo looking at the ring like Frodo did in Lord of the Rings, yeah, that makes sense because we're seeing the addictive nature of the ring. That's fine, it makes sense, it comes from a story and a character point of view. But then there are just some things in this film where you're just like, why? Why are we referencing Lord of the Rings right now? So, in case you didn't know, Benedict Cumberbatch voices Smaug and also the Necromancer. Does it really matter that he voices the Necromancer? Not really. He sounds fine, but like, that's not Sauron's voice from the original trilogy. Not critiquing his performance is perfectly fine, it's just that it didn't have to be Benedict Cumberbatch.
Borg!
Borg!
You're not leaving us. I would not do this unless I had to.
So Gandalf in this film, similar to the books, leads the dwarf party, and I think the film handles it perfectly fine. His Dol Guldur subplot is perfectly fine in this film. It's just hindered by Battle of the Five Armies, because the payoff for the Dol Guldur stuff in Battle of the Five Armies is not very satisfying. But a scene that I do love is this exchange between Bilbo and Gandalf here.
What did you find?
My courage.
Good. Well, that's good. You need it.
You need it. God bless you, Sir McKellen. You are just phenomenal. well. The film adapts the Mirkwood stuff pretty well as well, though they don't include the thing where Bomber falls into the lake and then like falls asleep and stuff. But, you know, in terms of capturing the overall atmosphere and feeling of being in Mirkwood, you know, the kind of like ominous, poisonous, scary atmosphere of Mirkwood, I think the film does it fairly well. Like the stuff with the spiders, it's all done really well. So far, the film is still pretty good in my eyes. We haven't got to anything majorly offensive where I'm like, why are they doing this? This is so stupid. What the hell? So far, I'm enjoying it. This, similar to the first film, is the book being brought to life, which I'm enjoying. I like the cool detail that when Bilbo puts on the ring, he can hear the spiders actually talking, because in the books, they're just talking spiders.
Sting.
He's brilliant. Martin Freeman's brilliant, and I love the moment where he names Sting Sting. It's so good. It feels so authentic. I think the way the film incorporates it into the script, I think it's pretty natural. Because from what I remember in the book, Bilbo doesn't outwardly name the sword Sting as something he just thinks of.
Mine.
Again, the stuff with Bilbo and the ring, seeding Bilbo's obsession with the ring, because that's what the ring does to people, it works perfectly fine in the film. I think it's good.
Do not think I won't kill you, dwarf. It would be my pleasure.
Legolas. Okay, Orlando Bloom's return as Legolas Greenlee? I think that's his last name. His return as Legolas in this trilogy is one I don't hate, if only they did it differently. I mean, in the sense of when the films were coming out and they were like, Orlando Bloom is back as Legolas and stuff, I was like, okay, cool, yeah, seeing Legolas, that's fine. My only issue with Legolas in the Hobbit Trilogy is the fact that he is nothing like Legolas in The Lord of the Rings. Now, I know you can argue, yes, he's changed over time and stuff, blah, blah, blah. The difference is, though, is that in The Lord of the Rings, Legolas is very kind of like whimsical airheady in the sense. He talks in a lot of platitudes and says weird things that don't make sense, like they run as if the very whips of their masters were behind them. There is a shadow lingering in the east. He's kind of like stoic and a little bit ominous, you know, like, okay. But he's also a badass. Legolas in The Hobbit is just unnecessarily violent and is kind of an asshole. Which would be fine if there was some sort of character growth and character arc, but he doesn't really have one. He's just here to do cool things like he did in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, except the things he does here aren't very cool. Well, in this film, they're fine. It's the stuff in Battle of the Five Armies with like the falling staircase and stuff like. Also, not to point out the obvious, but he does look different to how he does in Lord of the Rings, because obviously he aged like 10 years and stuff, but like, you know, there's something about his look where you're like, he looks a bit off. Okay, Tauriel. I love Tauriel as a character, like the concept of her. I don't love what she does in the film. Like, just her being a badass female warrior elf is cool. I don't love her role in the trilogy where she's Keely's love interest, but still, I love Tauriel. I love her look. She is stunning. I had a fat crush on Tauriel when I was a teenager. I still do. Oh, Evangeline Lilly. Also, her theme music is awesome. Amazing. It's so good. But then also, this is the start of my least favourite aspect to the Hobbit trilogy, which is the love triangle between Keely and Tauriel. Because just, why? What is the point? We don't need this.
What is this horrid creature, goblin mutant?
That's my wee lad, Gimli.
Haha, funny, because in the future Legolas and Gimli become like best friends and stuff. You remember Lord of the Rings? No, I don't mind that joke, it's fine. But yeah, it is very much a, hey, do you remember Lord of the Rings? And isn't it kind of funny because they become best friends? I'm kind of fond of this line purely for the fact that my friend Darren, he loves to take the mick out of this line because he never says it properly. It's like an inside joke we have. I'm all like, oh, and he's just like, Vendi and Gondolin. I'm like, that's not what he said. Stop doing that. Stop being annoying. Love you, Darren. Okay, so originally the dwarves ending up in Mirkwood is where the original version of The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey would have ended had it not been turned into a trilogy. If it was just the two films, this is where the first one would have ended. So that's a fun fact, I guess. Again, I'm not in love with the whole Legolas, Tauriel, Keely love triangle. Even, it's not even really a love triangle. It's more the fact of like, Tauriel likes Legolas and Legolas likes Tauriel. Although it's more one-sided in terms of Legolas likes Tauriel a lot. But then Thranduil's like, oh, Tauriel, you and Legolas can't be together. And then so Tauriel meets Keely, and then Tauriel and Keely fall in love. And to be fair, the Tauriel-Keely stuff, there is some stuff in their romance that is quite nice. Like, I do like the whole Dwarf Stone thing and then their conversation during the Starlight Festival. That's nice. But at the end of the day, too, why is this a thing? I also just don't like the moments too where Legolas gives Keely dagger eyes. Like, no, what is this doing in my Hobbit trilogy? Just, no, get it out of here.
I have faced the great serpents of the north.
Okay, that's cool. The whole, like, Thranduil revealing his dragon scars with, like, the magic and stuff, that's so cool. I love that. That's awesome. The conflict between Thorin and Thranduil, whilst nicely set up in the first film, it's an unnecessary conflict because it's not really what happens in the book. Like, Thorin doesn't really have beef with the elves. He's kind of just like, oh, you guys didn't help, okay. And then they end up going into Mirkwood and they get captured by the Mirkwood elves. But in the book, they get captured more so because the elves are just like, what are you doing here? Like, what are 13 dwarves just doing in our kingdom? The movie changes it to make it this whole beef between Thorin and Thranduil, but that's not what happens in the book. It's literally just, what are you guys doing here? We're gonna keep you prisoners till you tell us what you're doing.
We're never gonna reach the mountain, are we?
Not stuck in here, you're not.
This is why Bilbo Baggins is a motherfucking legend, yeah! It is genuinely a shame that Bilbo takes a backseat in the rest of the trilogy, like, why? Martin Freeman is so good. Again, brilliant, he's perfect, like, he's so good. I used to be an adventurer like you, till I took an arrow to the knee. Was that an intentional reference? That must have been, right? Like, there's no way you make a Skyrim reference with an arrow to the knee. It had to have been. But also, thank you, Bolg. Thank you for delivering one of my least favourite subplots in the film. The whole, oh, Keely has been shot with a Morgul arrow. Oh, no, he can't go to the mountain. Oh, we gotta heal him. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you can't tell, I'm being sarcastic. I don't like it. Ah, that's my girl. That's Tariel. Just, I love her. She's so good. You know, I'm surprised that Warner Brothers didn't capitalize on the whole barrel riding sequence and turn this into a theme park ride, because it'd be so cool. How has this not been done yet? It would be so awesome. Also, yeah, the barrel ride just goes on for ages and ages in this. Like, it's so long. And one of my least favorite things about the cinematography for this scene is the weird GoPro footage where, like, all of a sudden the barrel goes into the water and then, like, out emerges, like, this GoPro footage, and it looks awful. It doesn't match the cinema footage. I don't know why they did it. I don't know what Jackson was thinking here.
Do it again, and you're dead.
Now, I like Luke Evans as Bard the Bowman. I think he does the character well. My issue with Bard is his characterization, because once again, similar to Thorin, they have Aragornified Bard for no real reason. I guess maybe they're just playing up more of his royalty. Because in the books, he is royalty, he is the real heir to Dale. But even still, it's kind of like the film goes a bit too far. Also, if I'm not mistaken, did Bard just shoot Dwalin with a black arrow? Because if that's the case, then what the hell was up with Battle of the Five Armies and the whole only a black arrow can, like, be shot from a wind lance? Like, why? That was one of the most dumbest, unnecessary things in Battle of the Five Armies, and this film introduces it. And I have no idea why. It's so stupid. Especially considering how in Battle of the Five Armies they don't even use the wind lance. Like, Bard does this weird dumb thing with his, like, bow, and then he uses his son as a wind lance. It's stupid. I don't know what the point of that was. Just have it be a regular black arrow like it was in the book. I love the Lake Town leitmotif, and also Howard's short score for this film is really good. I love all the new themes he introduces and such. The only thing I don't like is how he takes away the Misty Mountains theme as, like, the main theme for the trilogy, because why did he get rid of that? I don't understand why. It's so good. I don't know why he got rid of it. Like, it was so perfect, and they took it from us.
Not so fast.
Oh God, Alfred. What is the point of this character, really? He's not even funny. He's not good comedic relief. What is the point of this character? No, seriously, like, what is the point? Is he just meant to be an even more bumbling fool than the Master? Because the Master of Lake Town, played wonderfully by Stephen Fry, is fantastic. But also, I will never say anything bad against Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry, I love Stephen Fry. He read me the Harry Potter audiobooks every night. He's amazing. Like, I'm never going to say a bad word against Stephen Fry. But even still, the Alfred character, there is no purpose for him because we already have a bumbling fool in the Master of Lake Town. And I'm not saying that the actor for Alfred did a terrible job. No, they did a perfectly fine job with the stuff that they were given, but it's just, I don't understand the purpose of the Alfred character. Stupid Windlands backstory. Again, the Windlands stuff, I don't know what the point of it is. It's just unnecessary padding. Like, there was no ancient secret Windlands thing that could kill dragons and stuff. it's unnecessary. It sets up a weird conflict between Thorin and Bard because it's like, oh, my ancestor was the one that failed to kill Smaug, and Thorin's like, oh, it was you, your ancestor failed to kill Smaug. Like, that's just unnecessary, silly conflict.
Send wealth and riches flowing once more from the halls of Erebor!
Yeah, that's Thorin Oakenshield. That's my king under the mountain.
Death! That is what you will bring upon us.
So, this is a conflict between Bard and Thorin. I do not mind because I feel like the film needs to point out if you go into the mountain and you wake up the dragon, you might kill us all. I think Bard being that character that is going against Thorin is perfectly fine. I think that's a good conflict. I don't need the whole Windlance backstory because just... why?
What if it's a trap?
It's undoubtedly a trap.
It's undoubtedly a trap. Shing! Yeah, that's Gandalf the Grey right there. That's Gandalf, my G. Okay, here's something. Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White? I know this is kind of a redundant question because they're the same character, but there's an aura around Gandalf the Grey that I just prefer over Gandalf the White. Like, they're both cool, they're both badass, but like, Gandalf the Grey is just cooler. But like, visually, Dol Guldur is quite eerie, quite creepy. I like the look of it. I like a lot of the cinematography here. CGI is not amazing when the CGI is implemented, but, you know, pretty atmospheric.
Come back! It's the light of the moon, the last moon of autumn!
Now, I may be misremembering, but in the book, the last light of Durin Day and then finding the keyhole, that's not as, like, you know, tense as the film makes it out to be. It's not like a very time-sensitive mission of, like, we have to do it only at this time because if we don't, we'll never be able to open the door ever again. I think that's an exaggeration on the film's behalf, right? But even still, if that is the case, that's a change I actually prefer and I do quite like because it does add stakes and tension to the story. It also makes the moment too where Thorin catches the key and they finally open the door and they enter Erebor much more impactful. It's like, yes, they finally did it. They're in the mountain now.
And I think I must try.
It never ceases to amaze me.
What's that?
The courage of hobbits.
I love Balin and Bilbo's friendship. It's so sweet. It's so wholesome. Just, I love it. And I love too that Balin is one of the additional characters that further adds to the idea of anyone can achieve anything, no matter how big or how small, just so long as you have the courage and the heart to do it. Just, mwah. It's so Tolkienian. I love it. Just, and the implementation of the Hobbit theme too, just, mwah. Fantastic moment. Okay, so in this film, Gandalf's staff breaks, but then I swear in Battle of the Five Armies he has it back again. If that's the case, then how did he get it back? Okay, I'm gonna say this now before we get into the scene, but this entire sequence with Bilbo and Smaug is fucking perfection. Similar to the Good Morning scene from An Unexpected Journey, this scene, this sequence, is that scene from the book, brought to life, and it's phenomenal. Brilliant, honestly. Martin Freeman's comedic timing, the idea of the joke, fantastic. I love that. I remember the first time I saw this film in the cinema, this sequence also terrified me. Smaug's scale, his presence, Cumberbatch's voice, the overall way the scene is shot and scored, Smaug was terrifying to me. I remember shaking in the cinema. He was that terrifying. I love this. I love all of this stuff with Smaug and Bilbo.
Where are you? Where are you?
Where are you? Terrifying. I love it. Okay, one thing that does confuse me about this scene though is how Smaug for some reason has like this weird like detection for the ring, and like I don't know how he has that. That's not in the book. What? Huh? Was this just a case of Martin Freeman's screen time? Because if that's the case, I don't know why he has to like actually be present in the room, because in the book Bilbo is invisible. But also there is the visual effect of Bilbo wearing the ring. I don't know why like all of a sudden Bilbo had to take off the ring. Maybe because it makes it more personal or something? I don't know. That's just an annoying but nitpick though.
Do you now?
Terrifying. He's so scary. Martin Freeman's performance in the scene too, phenomenal. Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as Smaug, incredible. I cannot sing the praises of this sequence enough. It's just the book brought to life, and the actors just really sell the scene, and it's wonderful. But I mean, all this praise aside, this third act is kind of messy. Like, Bard like running to get the black arrow so he can put it in the wind lance, only for him to get captured by the guards of Lake Town. And then there's the stuff with Keely and the Morgul arrow that's like poisoning him, and then Tauriel has to heal him. And then there is that obnoxiously long action sequence with the dwarves in Erebor with Smaug, and it's so pointless because it's like they don't even beat him, but also it looks awful, but also the physics is just so wonky, but also it's just, what is the point? Smaug is literally gonna die. Why not kill Smaug at the end of this film? Ah, Tauriel. Oh, Evangeline Lilies. Ah.
This is to end in fire. Then we will all burn together.
Raise a glass of wine into the night. So that's where Ed Sheeran got the line from. Oh yeah, also for some reason Legolas and Bolg now have a beef, and like that's how Bolg ends up dying in the next film, like because of Legolas, and it's... Huh? Hey, he made me bleed my own blood. Okay, not only as a visual effect does this look terrible, but also... What in the physics? How? That does... Huh? Honestly, this is the point where I start to wonder what Peter Jackson was actually thinking. Like, what? This film could easily be 2 hours long, and you don't need any of this weird extended action, because the extended action is just so... It's not good. Why not just have Bilbo and Smaug have the conversation and such, and then it all escalates and builds to Smaug going to attack Lake Town? Why do we need this stuff with the dwarves and Erebor fighting Smaug, and then Smaug is just like, ah, the gold statue, ah. It doesn't look good, it's unnecessary, it pads the runtime. Just have this film be 2 hours long. I don't know why we need an extra like 45 minutes. Okay, one thing I will say though is that the image of like a gold covered Smaug and then he shakes it all off to go back to his normal color is a really cool image, but just because it's a cool image doesn't mean it makes any sense, because what in the physics? I am Batman! That line's always reminded me of I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman!
What have we done?
I will say that is a very effective ending. Although I complain about this film being way too long, if you are also going to move Smaug's death into the beginning of the third film, it makes sense to end the film here. It's a very good dramatic beat. It is a good dramatic moment. Oh, misty eye of the mountain below. So, that was The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. A film that I think is a bit of a mixed bag. There are things in it that I do love. Again, you've just seen me gush all over Smaug and Bilbo and everything to do with that stuff. I've pointed out a lot of the good things, but yes, this is the beginning of the end of the Hobbit trilogy being solid. This is where the trilogy begins to fall apart, because this is where you start to see them padding out the runtime with unnecessary action, unnecessary filler. You can tell they were only meant to be 2 Hobbit films because the cracks really start to show in this one. From an artistic point of view, I'm just baffled as to how they tried to turn the Hobbit into this big epic trilogy when it's not. It's not meant to be that. It's meant to be a children's story. And like, whilst I do admire Jackson's attempt at certain elements by expanding the lore and trying to make it fit into the Lord of the Rings, it just, there are so many things that he does where I go, what are you doing? Why? This doesn't need to be here. What are we doing, Jackson? Stop! Night is now falling, so ends this day. The road is now calling, and I must away. So for today's video, we're going to be suffering through The Hobbit, The Battle of Five Armies. Oh, sorry, I mean today's movie commentary is going to be on The Hobbit, The Battle of Five Armies. Okay, look, some inside baseball. This is the second time I'm recording this commentary. I'd corrupted audio files last time, but even still, I don't like this movie. This movie sucks. Out of the 3 Hobbit films, this is the one I've seen the least, and for good reason. An Unexpected Journey I unabashedly love. The Desolation of Smaug is a mixed bag, but overall, I like it. This film sucks. Like, there's a handful of really good moments, but other than that, this film sucks. I hate it. There's a reason why I've only seen this film like 2 or 3 times. If you thought I was nice to the Hobbit trilogy in the previous 2 commentaries, I'm not holding back on this one. It's like one of the 2 moments where I will genuinely point out and go, no, this is good, this is good. For the most part, this film just... I hate it. It sucks. So without further ado, let's just get into this. I don't know if you can tell I'm a little bit sick. I don't want to watch this film again, but I'm gonna have to do it, I'm afraid. But before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on social media. It's all down in the description. Don't forget to follow me specifically on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the commentary. Save me. So this time around, we're not introduced to the film with the lovely do-do-do-do-do-do-do melody as the title card comes up. Instead, we're introduced to the film with this very ominous leitmotif. You know, Smaug is about to attack Lake Town, and this is kind of a double-edged sword because on the one hand, where's my Hobbit melody, man? It's so nice that all the films started the same way, but now this time around they changed it. But that's more of a nitpick, because on the other hand, and this is obviously the reason as to why they did it, and it works much more effectively, it's to continue on the stakes from the end of Desolation to Smaug. It would be weird to end Desolation to Smaug, especially if you're watching these films back to back, and your Smaug flies off to Lake Town and is all like, I am fire, I am death. And then you head straight into the Battle of the Five Armies and it's all like do-do-do-do-do-do-do. So like tonally it makes sense. But a part of me does wish they found some way to include the Hobbit leitmotif in the opening title, but again, it's a nitpick.
If you stay here, your sisters will die. Is that what your father would want?
Now, in the previous commentaries, I've gone on about the colour grading for these films and the fact that these films are shot on digital and the blooming and the halation effects and suffer too much. But there's something about this film that, colour grading wise, it feels different to the other two. But there's something about this film in particular that just looks ugly. Like, it's not as nice as the other two. Like, it's more desaturated and the colours aren't as well composed. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, there's something about it. Looking at it, it feels different to the other two, but not in a good way. I will say the effect of Smaug burning Lake Town looks pretty cool. Like, he's just going like meow meow. Like, it's cool. In many ways it does remind me of the animated film. But then again, Smaug in the animated film just looked weird. He looked like a weird like cat dragon thing. It's like, huh? Bilbo Baggins is only 3 feet tall.
If only we could take more of these poor people with us, but they're hardly worth it. I quite agree.
Haha, bad people are obviously bad, haha. If it isn't my favourite character of the film, Alfred. Look, I just want to preface this now. The actor is doing a good job for what he's being told to do, but what he's being told to do is not good. I've seen this actor in other things, he's good. I don't blame him. And in many ways, he has like 1 or 2 funny moments, but that's all because of his performance. Other than that, the character of Alfred is terrible. The way he's written is terrible. He's so paper thin. He's so one-dimensional. He's stupid. I don't like Alfred. Like, they focus so much on him, but they don't even kill him off properly. They wait till the extended editions, and mark my words, when I bring up the extended editions for this trilogy, because I found out some stuff about the extended versions that I didn't know before, and now knowing that information, it made me hate this trilogy a little bit more. Like, what is going on? Well, Peter Jackson, what were you thinking? But we'll get into that in a little bit. What? What in the physics? How? How did the master not die? How did that work? How was there enough leverage? What? Add this to the list of crimes of this film, the over-the-top ridiculous physics. Like, I know there was ridiculous physics in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but this is even dumber. This is stupid. Okay, this might be a bit of a nitpick, but how is Bard not reacting to the noise of the bell? Like, it's literally ringing above him. He should be all like, ah! He should be like the Venom symbiote right now, but he's not. He's just taking it, and it's weird. Okay, so why is Bard just shooting the dragon with a bunch of arrows? Like, that's what he does in the book, because in the book, the black arrow is just a black arrow. It's not meant to be this, like, big, epic thing of, like, oh, you put it in a wind lance because it's a very special arrow, and then, you know, it can pierce the dragon's hide. It's just meant to be a regular arrow with a black feather. Like, what? I don't know why Peter Jackson was like, yeah, we gotta, like, epicify the black arrow. Like, why?
What will you do now, Bowman?
Why is Smaug just like taunting Bard in a way, just going like, Bowman? Like, there's nothing threatening about calling him Bowman. You're not belittling him, he's literally an archer. Like, in the book, Bard is called Bard the Bowman just because he's an archer, and that's like Tolkien's like, you know, little quirky way of going, oh look, it's Bard the Bowman. Like, I don't know why all of a sudden this film is just trying to turn it into like this cool nickname of like, Bowman. Now, I know Smaug is vain and prideful, but why is he taking his time to belittle Bard? Is it just because he's the only one that's willing to stand up to him? Because it's a bit weird. Like, he doesn't know that Bard is the descendant of Gideon, the one that shot him with the black arrow before. Like, so why is he just going like, yeah, I'm gonna taunt this bow man? What is this? This is so stupid. This isn't epic. This isn't cool. This looks dumb. And the award for the most melodramatic death goes to Smaug the Magnificent, because what is Okay, that's one of his like handful of funny moments. Like, he doesn't have a lot and he's really annoying, but that was funny.
I know how I feel. I'm not afraid. You make me feel alive.
Oh, look, it's my favorite star-crossed lovers, Keely and Tauriel. I'm so invested in this romance. It's cringy. It's corny. Why is this in my Hobbit trilogy? Just no. Also, Legolas just spawns in. Like, where the hell did he go? So he chased Bolg out of Lake Town and then just, like, didn't do anything as Smaug was attacking Lake Town. And then he came back during the aftermath. It's like, Legolas, what happened here? Where did he go? It just makes him look like even more of an asshole. Like, one of the reasons why I don't like Legolas in the Hobbit trilogy is because he's an asshole. I'm assuming it's one of the reasons as to why Legolas isn't in Lake Town in the first place is because the writers did want to have audiences go, oh, why doesn't Legolas take down the dragon? He took down an Oliphant in Lord of the Rings. I'm assuming that's why they wrote him out of the story, but at the same time too, it's like, why did he leave? Like, he looks like such a dick.
I'll be dead before I answer the likes of you.
Maybe that can be arranged.
The stuff with the people of Lake Town, it makes sense, but also it's such a waste of time. It's so contrived because it's so simplified. They're all like, oh, our homes are burnt down, we have nowhere to go, we're gonna starve and we're gonna freeze, we need food and shelter. Like, on paper that makes sense to raise up this as a point, but the way it's played in the film is comedic and it's overly simplified. Bard comes back and they're all like, yeah, we're gonna make Bard king because he's the hero, he saved us, but just because he's a great warrior doesn't necessarily make him a great king. That's actually a theme or idea I want to toy around with in a story down the future. Like, because I've always found that that's like a thing. It's like, oh, the great hero like beats the big beast and all of a sudden they're made king. But why? I don't know. I feel like that'd be an interesting thing to include in a book.
Oh, hail to the Dragon Slayer! Oh, hail King Bad!
What is the purpose of Alfred? Like, he's not funny. Like, and also, why does Bard trust him so much? Like, what is going on here?
Gold beyond measure.
Thorin's dragon sickness in this film is just the way they do it. It's so like melodramatic and goofy and kind of lame. It's like, it's not how it was done in the book, but also it's the fact too that they kind of made like dragon sickness like this kind of like magical curse, and it's just a bit silly. The CGI in this film looks terrible. Like, it's really bad. Like, in many ways it drops frames. I don't know how it drops frames. This is all pre-rendered. This isn't like a video game where it's rendering in real time. What's going on? Why does it look so bad? This is just... ugh. This movie is an eyesore to look at. This film sucks. And look, people will defend this film going, oh, you can excuse the poor visuals because the story for this film's not even good, so I can't excuse the poor visuals because this is what's meant to be, you know, the big spectacle and I'm supposed to be entertained by this. I'm not. It's an eyesore. I don't want to look at it. It looks terrible.
The orc I pursued out of Lake Town. I know who he is. Bolg, spawn of Azog the Defiler.
Okay, no, so the film does explain as to why they wrote out Legolas. He was chasing after Bolg because he's a Gundabad orc, and he's like, oh, the Gundabad orcs killed my mum. But at the same time, too, I didn't get that feeling from the end of Desolation and Smaug. This seems like a really half-assed excuse that they just wrote in to go, oh, yeah, no, this is why he left. Okay, so the stuff at Dol Guldur is not very good because essentially it all boils down to Gandalf goes to Dol Guldur, he gets captured by Azog, and then the Necromancer is revealed to be Sauron. And then the White Council come to save him, Galadriel, Elrond, and Saruman. They fight the Nazgul for a bit, but they don't really look like the Nazgul, they're just like these weird like spectral ghosts. Galadriel then does her thing which is like, in place of a Dark Lord you would have a queen mode thing, and then like banishes Sauron or something.
You have no power! Yeah!
And then Saruman's all like, oh, I'm gonna go chase after Sauron because I need to become evil for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And it's like, okay.
Leave Sauron to me.
What was the point of all this? It feels like one of those pointless side missions you would play in like Skyrim or The Witcher 3, where it's kind of like, there's not really a point to this. This is just like a side mission, but it's not a very good one.
No, laddie. I fear it would make it worse.
Okay, the stuff between Balin and Bilbo and the dwarves, whenever the dwarves and Bilbo interact in this film, it's great. Those are some of the nuggets of gold in this film, when the dwarves interact with Bilbo, because the previous films have built up their connection, their bond, you buy it. When they're worrying over Thorin, where Bilbo's like, oh, if Thorin found the Arkenstone, would it help him? And Balin's like, no, it would make him worse. That stuff is really good. It's character stuff. It's stuff where the characters' actions are reforming one another. The chemistry between these actors and characters are palpable. You feel it. You buy it. You go, yes, I am sold on this storyline because, yes, I like the way this is playing on screen. This isn't the paper-thin forced comedy of Alfred. This isn't the bad action set pieces. This isn't the forced-in stuff with Tariel and Keeley. This is organic. This feels like it's part of the story. This is the real part of the story. Like this moment between Thorin and Bilbo with the acorn, it's a fantastic scene. It's a wonderful little character moment, and it's so sentimental and heartfelt, where Bilbo's like, I picked up this acorn in Bayon's garden. I'm gonna go home, plant it in my garden, and when it grows, I'm gonna, look at it and think of the memories of its adventure, the good, the bad, and how I came back home. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. More of this, please.
I came to reclaim something of mine.
Thranduil, similar to Legolas, is an asshole. Like, the thing is, right, is that Thranduil in the book is not meant to be this, nasty of a character. He's such an asshole in this. But from what clips I've seen of the extended edition for this film, the reason why he's such an asshole is because the gems in the mountain belong to his wife. But you don't get that reasoning or justification in these films. No, he's just an asshole because he's an asshole. But also too, the way he characterizes himself, why would Bard trust him if he literally just went like, oh no, I'm only here because of the gems in the mountain. I'm not here to help your people. Like, wouldn't it be better to disguise your intentions? Bard doesn't really question Thranduil or his loyalty. He's kind of just like, oh yeah, Elf King, I'm gonna trust him just because.
I will not treat with any man, while an armed host lies before my door.
So this conversation between Thorin and Bard, how does that work? Because Bard is some 6 foot tall man, and Thorin's a dwarf. But the way the camera is placed, it's like a straight eye line, but realistically, Bard who is taller would be like here, and Thorin who's short would be down like there, so logistically, how does this shot work? Because there's no tilt in the angle of the camera. It's just like a straight on shot. It's a bit weird when you think about it. Look at them preparing for war wearing this very impractical armor that they couldn't even move in. I just find that funny, like behind the scenes when they're struggling with this film, which I sympathize with. When you look at the troubled production history specifically of this film where Peter Jackson literally breaks down on set, it's really sad to watch, but at the same time too, some of these solutions they come up with are just a bit stupid. Like, instead of them having the dwarves wear practical armor to wear, they just make this really over-designed thing that doesn't function. And then the dwarves literally throw the armor away and wear light armor. It's kind of like, why did you show them wearing heavy armor? Like, it's a bit silly. Just, don't show them wearing the heavy armor.
Mithril.
Oh, have you guys seen Lord of the Rings? No, I'm being sarcastic. This scene is fine. Like, it makes sense that, Thorin would give Bilbo the mithril shirt, like, oh, I'm gonna protect my master burglar. Again, it shows the bond between these two characters and how much Thorin trusts Bilbo when he's just like, I think there's also a traitor amongst us. Like, yeah, it's good stuff. But then this scene is undermined by this weird, terrible effect where, they slow down Thorin's voice to try and make him sound like Smaug, and it's a bit...
Off you go. On your oath.
Who's in charge here?
Okay, so a weird thing is that Gandalf now has a new staff. Now, I didn't notice this the first time I saw this film, but yeah, Gandalf has a new staff. At the end of Desolation of Smaug, we saw it get destroyed. Apparently, this is the same staff Gandalf wields in the Fellowship of the Ring, but the thing is that we don't know how he gets this staff. But in the extended edition, we see Radagast give Gandalf this staff, and it's like, okay, Why is that not in the film? We, the audience, see Gandalf visibly lose his staff in Desolation to Smaug. Of course we're going to question how he gets a new one in the next one. It's kind of similar to how in the extended edition for Return of the King, Gandalf faces against the Witch King and his staff is broken, but we don't see Gandalf lose his staff in the theatrical cut, so it doesn't really matter. Because from what I remember, you don't really gather the fact that Gandalf lost his staff, and when they go attack the Black Gate, you don't notice that Gandalf isn't wielding his staff. God, the green screen in this is bad. Like, this just doesn't look good at all. This is so awful. Look at the way the camera's moving. This film is literally dropping frames. The CGI in this film is so terrible. These poor visual effects artists, man, they were probably like rushed for time and everything, but it doesn't look properly rendered. The frames are literally dropping.
Yes. Sorry about that.
This is why Martin Freeman is the perfect Bilbo Baggins, and this is why Bilbo Baggins is a fucking legend. That didn't look good. Like, you could tell they just copied and pasted that elf like multiple times. It looks bad.
You would steal from me. Steal from you? No. No. I may be a burglar, but I like to think I'm an honest one.
Bilbo's betrayal to Thorin, it's done really well in the film. Like, it's a thing that happens in the book, but in the film too, it works. Like, the chemistry and bond between Bilbo and Thorin is really well developed throughout the trilogy, and so when this happens, you emotionally are connected and invested. You're like, yeah, of course Bilbo would betray him because Thorin's not acting like himself. Bilbo took drastic action to try and shake Thorin out of his gold-obsessed stupor, but it didn't work. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. But you know what I mean. From a character perspective, I'm buying this, and I like it. Again, the heart of this film is the stuff between Bilbo and the dwarves, but for some reason, this trilogy is called Hobbit Trilogy, but Bilbo gets less and less screen time throughout the film.
Would you consider just starting off?
Dine, whatever he's called, like, oh, he looks terrible. Like, it's Billy Connolly, and Billy Connolly's vocal performance is great, but they CGI'd all over him, and it looks bad. It looks terrible. This is not good. Bless the Maker and his water. Bless his coming and his going. May the Maker shape the world and bring war for his people. You know what I mean. Dabza.
Yes.
Save me. Azog's blowing his horn. Save me from it. I don't want to watch this film anymore.
It's the best part.
No, it's not.
Do watch the... It gets better every time you watch it.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. He's dropping frames as he does it.
You're a soldier, man. You're a soldier.
Thank you. I have to do this again. I can't believe it. I'm so pissed. Oh, thank you so much. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, MC Ori.
Love you, man.
Love you too.
Oh. So, Azog has started blowing his horn. This is something I didn't notice because, again, I've not seen this film many times, but Azog has this stupid horn that he keeps blowing, and it's just really stupid and really annoying. I didn't originally notice this, but my friend Darren did, and ever since he pointed it out, I hate it, and it's really annoying. The film really wants me to go, yeah, that's so epic, but it just looks awful. And because it looks so awful, I'm just not invested. It looks terrible. I'm like, this doesn't look good. At the end of the day, film is a visual medium, and this just sucks. It doesn't look good. Why does he blow the horn twice in the span of like 10 seconds? Like, Azog. Just gonna skip through this battle. This is all just visual noise. This sucks. I can't even pinpoint like a great moment in this battle stuff. It's all just bad. Like the bit with Bard and the wheelbarrow and the giant troll thing. No. What's up with the frame rate? Why is the frame rate changed and why is it sped up? What is going on?
Did you not hear me? Dane is surrounded. They'll be slaughtered, Thorin.
Finally, a good scene. This scene between Balin and Thorin is great. It's, you know, Thorin's own kin kind of going like, Thorin, what is going on? This isn't you. Bilbo was right. You can't just, like, stand here and, you know, watch our kin being slaughtered. This isn't you. fantastic stuff. But this moment where Thorin breaks out of his dragon sickness is just weird. It doesn't look good. Visually, it's not interesting. What happened to the Peter Jackson that was good with all the grossed out imagery, the psychedelic imagery? Where is my dolly zoom? This is the man that used the dolly zoom in Fellowship of the Ring and Return of the King, and it looks fantastic. Why is he not doing it here? Why are we getting this like horrible CGI? Jackson, what happened to you, man?
I will not hide behind a wall of stone while others fight our battles for us!
Thing is, their light armor was perfectly fine in the previous films. Why all of a sudden is like Thorin less protected? Like, why has he got like such really exposed neckline? It's a bit jarring. But this scene between Keely and Thorin is great. Like, yeah, this is the kinship of the dwarves as they rally to their people as they join the battle. It's great.
Surely.
Okay, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait like 6 seconds. What is the point of this? Ba, 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 ba. Tell me that would not have been perfect right there. To have the Misty Mountains theme kick in as the dwarves, you know, rally behind Thorin Oakenshield, their king. But nope, they just got rid of that theme. Also, whoa, 12 dwarves entered the battle. Whoa, this is really gonna change the tide of the battle now.
Cowards! Not every man's brave enough to wear a corset.
So Alfred pretending to cross-dress as a woman or whatever just so he can not fight. They don't even pay off, you know, him being in the film by killing him off. He's just here to be annoying. Like, why did you cut out his death and put it in the extended edition?
They won't see me.
I won't allow it.
I'm not asking you to allow it, Gandalf.
This is why Bilbo Baggins is a motherfucking legend.
What do you know of love? Nothing. What you feel for that dwarf is not real.
Oh, this stuff between Tauriel and Thranduil, I hate it. It sucks. You don't love this dwarf. The thing that you feel for him isn't real. Like, get it out of here. Feeling no. But also, here's something, right? Why does Azog hate the Line of Durin? Like in the first one, when we see the flashback of him attacking Moria, he only did it because he hated the Line of Durin or something, right? But why does he hate the Line of Durin? It makes sense that after Thorin beats him, he's like, oh, I hate the Line of Durin. But before then, why was he attacking Moria? Why does he hate, you know, Thorin and his kin so much? Keely, no! Tauriel and their romance will never live on. Oh no, I'm so sad. In case you can't tell, I'm being sarcastic. I don't really care. Jackson, what were you thinking? What were you actually thinking? Do you actually think that looks cool? Because it really doesn't. It looks so stupid. Why not have like Legolas jump up before it breaks or something? Or have him do something that's like physically possible. This is just... this sucks. You know, I wish I could say I cared about Thorin and Azog final battle, but I really don't. Like, I just don't care. I don't know if it's just because I've been burnt out from all the fighting because the action in the film just isn't very good, but when they fight, I'm not invested. Like, Thorin beats him twice, like, Azog is, like, drowning, but then he doesn't actually drown, and then it's like, you know, they fight, and then Azog stabs Thorin. But Thorin did that on purpose so he could stab Azog, you know, like, falling on his own sword so he could kill Azog. Like, all that stuff, I wish I was invested in, I wish I cared, but I don't.
The eagles are coming.
The eagles are coming! The eagles are coming! This moment is kind of underwhelming in the film. Also, considering the fact that Thorin's just been stabbed in the chest, he's taking a really long time to die.
Farewell, Master Burglar. Go back to your books. And your armchair.
This scene is fantastic. Thorin and Bilbo's parting words, a great scene. I love it. It's pretty much the scene from the book, though it's a bit different, but even still, the chemistry between Martin Freeman and Richard Armitage, Bilbo and Thorin throughout this trilogy has been great, and so seeing them part on good terms as Thorin dies, it's great. The acting, the emotions, it's all there. It's really well done.
He is known in the wild as Strider. His true name, you must discover for yourself.
Oh, he's talking about Aragorn. He's talking about Aragorn. It's the most like key jangling. Hey, let's do a Legolas prequel series next. Like, no. Also, don't emotionally manipulate me by using the Fellowship theme. Don't you dare.
Why does it hurt so much?
Because it was real.
Get out of here, shut up. Okay, I think now is the time to go on my extended edition rant for the Hobbit Trilogy, because ridiculously, this film cuts out Thorin's funeral and Dain's coronation, and they move it to the extended edition. Why? That's relevant plot information. We want to know as an audience who is taking over Erebor, but also we want to say goodbye properly to Thorin. Whose idea was this? Why did we get more dumb stupid action and more Alfred, and why did we not get plot relevant information like Dain's coronation and Thorin's funeral? And then let's talk about the extended editions for this trilogy as a whole. So when I was talking about the first two films, I was complaining a lot about mainly Desolation and Smaug. Oh, why didn't they do this scene from the book where they go into Mirkwood and then Bomber falls in the river? And also, why didn't they do the introduction scene with Beorn? No, they did do all that stuff. It's just in the extended edition. But then also, why as an adaptation are you taking out the scenes from the book and moving them from the actual main theatrical films and putting them in the extended editions? That doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. Why are you dragging out this already dragged out story by removing the plot relevant information, the bits of the story that I as a fan would recognize, but also is technically essential to the plot of the story of The Hobbit? Why are you taking that and moving them to the extended editions, a supplementary piece of media, a supplementary bit of material? What are you doing? Jackson, no! Why are you wasting my time with extended, drawn-out action set pieces that don't look very good when you could be giving me more of the things from the book that I want to see? Like, yeah, I'm annoyed. I can't defend that. I won't defend that. It's made me look at this trilogy in a much lesser light. Don't get me wrong, I still love An Unexpected Journey, but Desolation, Smaug, and the Battle of the Five Armies are just even more annoying in my eyes now. Though I still will say I do like the Desolation of Smaug. I don't think it's great, but I like it.
You are welcome anytime.
Although the dwarves themselves are underdeveloped, I still like the bond they have with Bilbo, and the moment where Bilbo says goodbye to them and invites them to tea, it's great.
You needn't worry about that ring. It fell out of my pocket during the battle. I lost it.
Okay, this is so weird. Why does Gandalf know about the ring? Like, even if he doesn't know it's the one ring, it kind of just negates the whole point of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Like, at the beginning where Gandalf's just like, oh, Bilbo has a magic ring. What? Why does he know that Bilbo has a magic ring in this? Well, this is so weird. The Lord of the Rings prequelitis in this film just doesn't make any sense.
You're a very fine person, Mr. Baggins, and I'm very fond of you. You're only quite a little fellow in a wide world, after all.
Whoa, it's the line from the book. Don't try and trick me by putting in this dumb Lord of the Rings prequelitis thing and then, you quoting the book. Don't do that to me, Jackson. Don't emotionally manipulate me like that.
Who is this person you pledged your service to? Thorin Oakenshield.
He was my friend.
I love that payoff of Bilbo going, yeah, Thorin Oakenshield was my friend, because before he left the Dwarf Company, he was like, Thorin was, but he couldn't get the words out. He didn't know what the words were to say. Like, he was my king, he was my friend, he was my, leader. But I love that as soon as Bilbo gets home, he finally finds the right words and goes, he was my friend. Good stuff. Well done, Jackson. Like, again, that's one of the, handful of great moments of this film. Like, just, why wasn't there more scenes like this in this film?
No, thank you. We don't want any more visitors, well-wishers, or distant relations.
And what about very old friends?
Okay, so this is a fun little anecdote. Before this film came out, I was wondering how are they going to end the Hobbit trilogy? And in my brain, I was like, it'd be really cool if they, end the film with Bilbo, meeting Gandalf like he does in Fellowship of the Ring. No, thank you. We don't want any more well wishes, blah, blah, blah. And so when I was in the cinema watching this film, I was like, yeah, they did the thing. That's the thing. That's great. They did what I thought they were going to do. That's so cool. I do love the fact that the credits of this film pay homage to Return of the King. It ends the film with this hand-drawn portraiture, like in Return of the King. I like that. I think that's very cool. And also, Billy Boyd's song, The Last Goodbye, beautiful. I love it.
I saw the light fade from the sky. On the wind I heard a sigh as the snowflakes cover my fallen brothers. I will sing this last goodbye. Night is now falling, so ends this day. The road is now calling, and I must away. So that was The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. I won't lie, I'm drained. I don't like this movie. Again, I will still stand by the fact that if the Hobbit Trilogy was not a trilogy but the planned duology, or if this whole trilogy was cut down into like 4 hours, which I know there are a bunch of fan edits of, this trilogy would have been perfect. Like, there's so much good in here, but also there's so much like fluff and padding, and it's like, we don't need this. Why is this here? What is this Tariel Keeley romance doing in my Hobbit trilogy? Get it out of here. Like, I really do wish the original films that were planned were made. An Unexpected Journey, and they're back again. That's all you needed. I don't know. Warner Brothers, why did you sabotage this trilogy? Warner Brothers, MGM, New Line Cinema, whoever sabotaged this trilogy, why? Why? You had greatness here, and you spoiled it. But then also too, Peter Jackson's decision making cannot go unscathed here, because yes, whilst I feel sorry for him for having to deal with the political, behind the scenes nonsense, he did also make some pretty terrible decisions in this film. Like, I'm sorry, Legolas running up the falling stairs, that's on him. But look, there's a bunch of great stuff in this trilogy. Martin Freeman, Ian McKellen, the dwarf cast, like, they're all really good. There's moments of brilliance here. At the end of the day, the Hobbit trilogy is a massive disappointment and pales in comparison to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. At least from what I can tell, most audience members do not like this film. But those are just my thoughts. What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on social media, all the good stuff. It's all down in the description. And until we meet again, see you guys next time. Don't fight